as you can see, we have the board members out here for this filming. They can't go anywhere without the board members. So shade sails, not a lot of information out there. There's absolutely zero branding to this particular industry and product. So I just want to go over a little bit about what your differences are in a lot of the sails that are out there, some of the attachment points, your posts, and those different types of materials. So first of all, Four Seasons, we strive to be in the competition of making the strongest sail on the market, not the cheapest sail. So we take great pride in trying to get that done. And I'm going to go over how we go about that. So one, our corners, you can see how they are reinforced. Basically, you have a pocket here that's basically two-sided, and then we have basically what we call it a stirrup that's sewn, and then the biggest key to this is you actually have the D-ring and the cable. So when you have the shackle that will go around and attach to either A, connection point, or B, a turnbuckle, when you're pulling this, you are actually tensioning both the fabric and the cable at the same time, and that is huge. There's a lot of shade sails on the market where all you're going to see is just some sort of a ring. It's not even a D-ring, and there's no real reinforcements, and you can put cable in a shade sail, but the other key element to having that cable is also when you go from point to point, you would basically take those and you'd have what's called a lineal line, and that's going to go in a straight line. What we're going to do, and we'll show you this here once we install this, is we take our shade sails and they have a very large concave in them. Our concave, we have been told, is more than most, which that again is a key element to the strength. So what happens is when you have a continuous cable and you have the concave, is you're tensioning the fabric, that is going to stretch the fabric out in all four planes, five, however many sides there are. It's going to stretch all of those equally at the same time, and that's what creates the tension. So the more concave we have, that gives us the more ability to stretch the fabric. We're to the point where addressing the number of turnbuckles, more often than not, one turnbuckle in our shade sails, especially for a residential use, is going to be enough. It's usually, in a lot of cases, going to exceed what the attachment points are, which is the next item. So we do not recommend attaching our shade sails to a wood post in any way, shape, or form, even if it's a 6x6. We have snapped multiple 6x6. 4x4, I can almost guarantee you we're going to snap that. Even with the steel posts, again, we want to tilt those out away from tension because they will get cupped at the top. The other thing is, if you're attaching it to a house wall, we do not suggest attaching these to brick veneer. You're going to pin it to the brick and you start tensioning this, and it is very capable of popping the brick right from the wall. Brick veneer is not a structural element, it is more for an aesthetic. So that's why you have structural brick and brick veneer. So, and then the last point is going to be the actual installation. So I think we've addressed this before, but we'll go over it again. Your whip is going to have your cable clamps on it. That is always going to be the last connection that you're going to make. We get a lot of questions that people have problems even getting this corner to the turnbuckle, and that is pretty common. If you had a shade sail that we didn't make originally, again, we're making this as tight as possible to even get that clamp to it. So once you actually have the clamp in the turnbuckle attached, when you start tensioning, that is going to pull this as tight as what we're really wanting to achieve. So we'll get this installed here and kind of go over a couple of these points again, especially with the concave nature, kind of show you what a sail looks like when it's first attached to the turnbuckle, and then what it's going to look like after that tension is put in. So we'll be back here in a few minutes. Trying to get the last corner to the connection is always a very difficult part. This is an easy way to try to do this if you're trying to hang a shade sail by yourself. And you're going to need a hand winch or a very strong ratchet strap. I'm not a fan of ratchet straps. Normally you get within about 2 or 3 inches and they always seem to run out of gas where you just can't ratchet them anymore. A hand winch never fails you. So you can get these on Harbor Freight, Home Depot, wherever. They're usually under 30 bucks. But the key is, so you're going to run a cable that's going to go from one end of the hand winch up through your connection point and then down to your D-ring right here. You're going to leave your actual shackle free. And keep in mind, we're going to run a turnbuckle in between here so we don't have to get it close. The problem is that our hand winch is longer than the turnbuckle, so I can't get the sail to the turnbuckle using this if it's wrapped around a post. So this is how you work this. Then you're going to take the ratchet strap, or excuse me, the hand winch, and you're going to connect this to an opposite post. And that's what's going to give you something to pull against. And now all we have to do is just take this right here, and it should just pull the shade sail right to where we need it to go. See how we're definitely getting tighter here. And this is about where, if you're trying to hand pull this, you're going to run out of gas. And I think, honestly, we're pretty close. And again, going to my point earlier, so even without any tension in a turnbuckle or anything, we haven't attached it, you can see this is pretty taut. And this is probably has stretched tighter than 90% of them. A lot of the shade sails that look more like a hammock than an actual shade sail. So this is good. I know this is difficult and it's hard to pull, but really when you're wanting to build something in the way of a shade sail that is very durable and can withstand a lot of wind, this is what you're going to need. So we'll get this connection here and then we'll go over the concave portion of it in a second. Also, just as a reminder, make sure you take and grease your threads on any stainless turnbuckle. This will save you all sorts of headaches. I don't know what the genetic makeup is of the stainless turnbuckles, but these threads definitely like to seize up. But as long as you get them coated, it really doesn't seem to ever happen. So just remember to use some grease here. This is just non-ferrule metal blade lithium cutting grease, whatever you want to call it, and this will solve the problem. All right, so all we got to do now is make a couple more turns. We're pretty tight as it is. We'll keep trying to tension this a little bit more. And we're about out of turnbuckle here. And it looks pretty good. The last thing you got to remember to do is tighten the nuts on these so they can't back out. And 2. And there you go. We got a nice tight shade sail. And put it up with one person. So it can be done. Thank you, and we look forward to hearing from you soon. Just reach out to FourSeasonsAwning.com or 303-722-1200. Thank you.